Okay, full house.
Goodness. Okay, good afternoon. I think we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Councillor Ross is generally the chair for the meeting. She's stuck on the highway at the moment. So until she joins the meeting, I'll fill in for the chair. I think we'll start off with a round table. We do have a new member with us, Timothy Kendrick. He's online. Maybe Timothy, you can start.
My name is Timothy Kendrick. I'm the president and chief designer of BW Global Structures. We manufacture greenhouses locally here, and we build the largest greenhouses or tallest greenhouses in North America. And very grateful to be part of this committee.
Great. Casey, did you want to go ahead?
My name is Casey Proom, a dairy farm in Matsqui Prairie in Abbotsford, and I'm representing BC Dairy Association, I believe. That's where the ask came from anyways, but been on the committee for a couple of years. When I started, we were virtual on every meeting. I plan to make it in person now and have yet to do it, so that's a goal of mine for the fall.
Great. And then Suk?
Hi, my name is Sue Kimon. I'm involved with the berry industry. We also have a farm in Abbotsford. We grow raspberries, blueberries, and strawberries. And I've been on this committee for a little while, so we're continue serving.
That's great, thank you. And then Matt, maybe?
Matt Dykesworn, dairy farmer at Sumas Prairie. Not even sure how long I've been on the committee, but it's been a few years.
Great. And then we've got Rob Isaac here, who's our staff liaison, general manager of engineering and regional utilities. And then Mark Neal, general manager of planning and development services. My name's Robin Charles, I'm the deputy city clerk. And then
Blake Collins, director of development planning with the city.
Brad Rudiger, represent the BC Poultry Association. Also have a farm in Sumas Prairie.
Fantastic. Okay, well, welcome. We'll go ahead and move forward. First item we have is the adoption of the agenda. Get a mover. Matt. Here's Brad. Great, thank you. And the adoption of the minutes, July 13th. Any errors or omissions? No? Willing to move? Brad and Matt? Okay, thank you. And then we'll move forward to the first item on the agenda, which is an ALC boundary realignment for Bridgeview Street.
Sure, yeah. We have 4 items for the committee today. The first one is item 6.1. This is an ALC boundary realignment for property at 4337 and 4347 Bridgeview Street. And Anne-Marie will provide a presentation, which will be followed by a presentation from the applicant.
Good afternoon. So this is a boundary realignment within the agricultural land reserve. The subject properties are at 4337 and 4347 Bridgeview Street. The subject properties are located on the west side of Bridgeview Street, south of the intersection of Bridgeview Street and Claiborne Road. The subject property located at 4337 Bridgeview Street is approximately 0.55 of a hectare or 0.22 of an acre, and the subject property located at 4347 Bridgeview Street is approximately 158 square meters or 1,700 square feet, and both are within the ALR. The OCP land use designation is Agriculture 1 Uplands. They are both zoned Agricultural 1 zone. The soils are 9 till. The current lot configuration was created by a registered plan in approximately 1970. The smaller lot was the location of a neighborhood well that was decommissioned in or around 1996 when water was installed in the neighborhood. The applicants are proposing to realign the boundaries to create 2 roughly equal-sized parcels that would each support the construction of a single detached dwelling. The interior lot line has been configured to retain the incomplete greenhouse structure, which was begun under a building permit issued in 2014. Since both parcels are less than 1 hectare, they do not comply with the conditions of the Agricultural Land Reserve General Regulation to permit the city's approving officer to consider the subdivision, and therefore must be considered by the ALC. The Ministry of Agriculture has reviewed the proposal, and in their opinion, the proposal has no net benefit to agriculture. If the proposal is approved by the ALC, it would comply with the zoning bylaw. At this time, I ask the council to resolve to make a recommendation to council that council either forward the application to the ALC with support as presented, forward the application to the ALC with support with changes, or forward the application to the ALC with no comments, or possibly deny and not forward the application to the ALC. Thank you.
Okay, committee members, what are your wishes?
Oh, and Mr. Gadet, the
Oh,
applicant, is
sorry.
going to speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Gadet, and I'm joined here today by the owners of the property and members of the Diol family. We appreciate your time. We have received the report prepared by Anne Marie that's dated today. We appreciate working with her on this application. We have reviewed the report and find it quite thorough, and as you just witnessed, it's well presented. Over the years, those of you who've been around for a while know I've made many presentations to AAC, and I've always appreciated the no-nonsense approach that this committee follows. With that in mind, about 9 times out of 10, my applications to this committee have some type of direct benefit to agriculture. This application is different, but does have an indirect benefit to farming. I can tell you there's no negative impact on agriculture, and it is on this basis that the family looks for your support. The 2 brothers are farmers here in Abbotsford. They live together with their parents in an older home on the Fraser Highway. They want to continue their cultural tradition of the extended family living together. But that's a challenge given the maximum allowable size of 500 square meters for a house on land in the ALR. They see this option as the next best option, which is why they purchased this property. As outlined in the report, the application is to take 1 small lot and 1 larger lot, realign the boundaries to create 2 lots of about equal size. The land, as mentioned, is owned by the 2 brothers who want to tear down the old house and build 2 new ones for their families. It's not the same as living all under 1 roof, but it's the best they can hope for in this case. So our rationale for your support is this neighborhood, as you've seen on the aerial, is made up of 20 lots. Each lot less than 1.5 acres. No agriculture taking place on any of the 20 lots. The road is a dead-end road, and my understanding that there's no plans by the city to extend this road. The site borders 1 farm used for forage, and with the use of trees and berms, the proposed lots will not impact that farming operation. Third, the 2 proposed lots and homes will blend in with this rural residential character of the neighborhood. And fourth, in the report prepared by Anne Marie, I don't see any obstacles regarding the OCP zoning, and I do not believe that we have received any concerns raised by the neighbors. Here's a couple of key questions with rather straightforward answers. Does this proposal protect the land base? As mentioned, there's no agricultural land being impacted by this proposal. Second, what impact will the new family home have on adjacent farmland? As mentioned, I don't believe any. The proposed location is far removed from the neighbor's house, and with trees and berms installed, the forage field can be protected. Does the proposal directly enhance and benefit current farming operations? Well, there are no farming operations in this site or in the rural residential neighborhood where the site is located. In closing, no impact on agriculture, no impact on the neighborhood, in our opinion. 1 old house is to be demolished, 2 new ones built, which obviously benefits housing. But the owners are farmers who farm together, they want to live together. This is not living together, technically, but it's close. This will benefit farming. and we encourage this committee to recommend support for this proposal. If you have any questions, I'll do my best. The brothers here, the property owners are here, and they will do their best to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I jumped ahead at that point. Does the committee have a motion they'd like to make?
Chairperson, I've just got a question for clarification, if I may.
Please go ahead.
Does the city own the second lot? Like it was a city well, or are both of those lots currently owned by the family?
The owners currently own both lots, and it was never owned by the city. It was a private well for the community, the local neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Then based on that information, I was concerned about precedent, but based on that information, I would recommend supporting the family's proposal to have this separated into two roughly equal parcels, based on the fact that it won't have any positive impact, but also no negative. It would have a net zero impact on agriculture. And there's two lots there. So I would have no issue with supporting this. So I'd recommend supporting it.
Great, thank you. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that
Matt?
for the same reasons.
I can second it.
Great. I think we've got Matt here, Sukba. Thank you. Are there any additional comments, discussion?
How big
Timothy?
are the proposed houses? Just out of curiosity.
They would have to comply with the Agricultural Land Commission restriction of a maximum of 500 square meters, 542 with an attached garage.
Are there any plans? I know that they have to comply, but what are the plans currently sitting at?
No, they have not provided house plans at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? No? Okay. And all in favor? Great. Any opposed? That's carried. Move forward with the next item.
All right, next is item 6.2. This is an ALC non-adhering residential use application for 176 Bradner Road. Again, Anne Marie will provide an introduction, and I believe the applicant is here and may wish to speak.
Thank you. Yes, this is an application for a non-adhering residential use for a replacement dwelling and conversion to an accessory farm dwelling unit within a building larger than 90 square meters. The subject property is located at 176 Bradner Road, located north of the intersection of Zero Avenue and Bradner Road on the east side of Bradner Road. The subject property is approximately 2 hectares or 5 acres and within the ALR. OCP land use designation is Agriculture 1 Uplands. It is zoned Agricultural 1, and the soils are 8 gravel and sand. The applicant's farm operation, all within Abbotsford, totals 12.4 hectares and is all owned by the applicant. The farm operation employs 3 to 5 seasonal workers annually through the Seasonal Agricultural Worker Program. The applicants are proposing to reside in the existing dwelling, which is approximately 257 square meters, while constructing a new dwelling with an attached garage to be a maximum of 541 square meters as per the ALC regulation. Upon completion of the new dwelling, the existing dwelling will be converted to have an approximately 74 square meter accessory farm dwelling unit to house their seasonal workers, and the balance of the building will be converted to non-habitable space for farm office, farm storage, employee lunchroom, and employee washrooms. If approved by the ALC, the proposal would comply with the zoning bylaw. At this time, I ask the committee to resolve to make a recommendation to council that council forward the application to the ALC with support as presented, or forward the application to the ALC with support with changes forward the application to the ALC with no comments, or deny and not forward the application to the ALC. Thank you.
The applicant.
Hi, my name is Kim. This is my dad, Amarjeet. Thank you for the time to review the application. I did want to mention a few things. There is an existing structure on the property, like an old shed, that apparently was used as a picker's cabin way back in the day. We've applied for a demolition permit to have that removed. So there will be just the existing dwelling will be the only structure remaining on the property. There's no other barns, sheds, or anything like that on there. And we are farmers who have been farming in the community for a long time. My dad owns about 30 acres on the same street, and we have been finding it very difficult to find proper worker accommodations to house the foreign workers. So it would be nice to be able to retain that space for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee members, do you have a motion?
Yeah, Casey here. I would make a motion to support the proposal as presented based on the fact that this will provide proper housing for their temporary foreign workers and would be a net benefit to their farm, to agriculture.
Thank you, Casey.
Question. So the living area for the seasonal workers is in the basement? Which says the proposed basement floor plan, that's where the
No, I think it'd be it's like a split level.
little,
Could I get the slides back up?
Brad, did you want to second that as well? Did you want to second the motion? Yes? Thank you.
Before you is the proposed plan by the designer that shows the, in red on the top, would be the area for the housing for the workers. And I believe it's on the main floor, is that correct? Yeah.
Basically the top floor.
Yeah.
and how many workers can that, it's got, just got one bedroom in that area?
Our planner is saying that it could fit the 4 workers.
Any further questions or comments? Anyone online? No? Okay, we'll call the question then to support the application as presented. In favor? Anyone opposed? No? Okay, that motion is carried. Next item, please.
All right, next item 6.3 is an ALC non-adhering residential use application for 631 Columbia Street in Daniela. Provide an introduction, and the applicant may wish to speak as well.
So this is a non-adhering residential use application to occupy an existing principal residence while constructing a new principal residence and then convert the existing residence to temporary farm worker housing. This application was previously reviewed at the AAC meeting in February of this year, at which time only a portion of the existing residence was proposed for conversion to temporary farm worker housing. After changing harvesting methods from machine to hand picking, the applicant identified a need for additional farm workers. The applicant submitted a revision to their application and is now proposing to construct a new principal dwelling not exceeding 500 square meters and then convert the entire existing 279 square meter residence to temporary farm worker housing to accommodate 18 temporary workers instead of the original 6 to 8 workers identified. The subject property is located in southern Abbotsford, immediately north of the US border, and is on the west side of Columbia Street, south of the intersection of Huntington Road and Columbia Street. The subject property is approximately 4 hectares, or approximately 10 acres, and is within the Agricultural Land Reserve. The official community plan land use designation for this property is Agriculture 1 Uplands, and the property is currently zoned A1 or Agricultural 1 zone. The soils on this property are gravel and sand. The applicant has provided a site plan of the existing principal residence that is proposed for conversion for 18 farm workers. and has identified the proposed location of their new principal residence and where the existing residence will be converted. At this time, I ask the committee to resolve to make a recommendation to council that council either forward the application to the ALC with support as presented, or forward the application to the ALC with support with changes, or forward the application to the ALC with no comments, or deny and not forward the application to the ALC.
And then Mr. Gaudette? Do you want to speak to your application? Sure. Yes, I believe we do. Yes.
So sorry, I'm late. Just a little accident.
Okay.
Not get through, okay. What's happening?
So we're just on item number 3. The presentation's been made.
Okay.
And now the applicant will just.
We're already on item 3?
We're on item 3. Move along for you.
My apologies, everybody. Terrible. Left him plenty of time.
Yes. We still have one, yes. Because we have 2 as well. Just give me 1 moment.
So, what's the problem?
We might have a potential conflict.
Oh.
Welcome.
How's your day today?
Oh, man.
We still have one. Is Alex aware?
She's not making a move, so she's probably not aware that there's a potential conflict.
We'll raise it and she can make that decision.
Sure. Sure, you can go ahead.
Before the applicant speaks, he's indicated that he's concerned that there may be a potential conflict with one of the committee members serving on the similar board. I think it's a child development board with Alex Mitchell. So Alex, if you feel there's a conflict, it's your decision, but if you wish to recuse yourself from this discussion, that would relieve the applicant's concern.
Thank you. Yeah, I will be recused from this one.
So for procedure, we'll just pop Alex into a lobby in the meantime. So you'll just go to the participant list. Tammy?
So were you able to vote?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We're on item 6.3.
Okay.
Staff introduced, and now Mr. Gurdett, the applicant, is going to speak.
All right. Mr. Gaudette.
Sorry to do that to my fellow board member at the Child Development Center, but I didn't want to take any chances. I appreciate your patience. Good afternoon. As mentioned earlier, my name is Brian Gaudette, and I'm joined here today by the son of the owner of the farm, Emmerich, who is available later for questions. We do appreciate your time. We have reviewed the staff report and have no questions. We would like to draw your attention to point number 6 in the report. That is not correct. There is no processing plant on this site. With that said, we appeared before AAC in February, but since then, Emerich's family have elected to change from machine harvest to hand harvest, which as you know, requires substantially more workers because the process to harvest and pack is quite different. If the members want more details, I'm sure the family in Emmerich is prepared to explain further. With that said, here are the details of the new application. As a reminder, Emmerich and his family's farming operation is all about agriculture. This raspberry and blueberry farm operation has multiple farms in Abbotsford, producing thousands of pounds of berries each year. This particular farm produces raspberries, is 10 acres, employs family members, both young and old, and 18 seasonal foreign workers. The family is a member of the federal government SAW program, has LMIAs for 18 workers for this farm, and as you know, has a legal obligation for housing, to supply housing. The current home is occupied by family and is proposed to stay, while Emmerich builds a new modern home for his family. The application is to seek permission to stay in the family home until the new home, which will be less than 500 square meters, therefore meeting ALR regulations, is ready for occupancy. Once the family moves out of the current family home, this dwelling will be made available for the seasonal foreign workers. Our rationale for your support is as follows. They are part of the SAW program and must supply housing for foreign workers. The proposal meets all current zoning bylaws, other than, as you know, in the report, we are 9 square meters over the limit, and we must deal with that, which we don't believe will be any issue for us at all, but must be dealt with. The proposal meets the guidelines of recently approved AgriFresh conceptually, and we believe we've addressed all MOA questions about why the need for seasonal workers. We understand MOA and the city like to see worker housing on temporary foundations, but this is an existing dwelling, and MOA and the city regulations understand there will be cases like this one where a permanent foundation is appropriate. I'm sure the committee will also agree the family has selected a location on the site that not only works very well for the farm, but it's the best use of farmland given it's in the corner of the farm. Some key questions. Does the proposal protect the land base? We believe so. The new home will be close to the road, and the property line in the existing home does not need any additional land area. What impact will the new family home have on adjacent farmland? We don't believe any. The proposed location is far removed from the neighbor's house. Does the seasonal housing directly enhance and benefit current farming operations? Yes. Housing on site saves time and money regarding movement of employees. It makes supervision much easier. It removes the risk of the family not being able to find housing off-site for the workers. And I'll stop at that point because the list of advantages, as you farmers know, is quite lengthy. To summarize, they're part of the federal government SAW program. They have LMIAs for 18 workers. They have a legal obligation to supply housing for their foreign workers. And we all know how difficult it is to find housing in Abbotsford. The proposal conceptually meets all the conditions of the zoning bylaw, with that exception I mentioned earlier, including AgriFresh. Asking the family to move out of the existing dwelling while the new home is under construction places an economic and an emotional burden on the family. In addition, there will not be any on-farm security for the equipment or the new home construction if the family is forced to move off the farm. We know the agricultural strategy for Abbotsford is the promotion and strengthening of the viability of the agricultural enterprise. This family is all about agriculture. The benefits of the proposal are substantial to the family and agriculture here in Abbotsford, and we believe the proposal makes good sense when considering the best use of farmland, and we encourage this committee to recommend to Council your support of this proposal. I thank you, and Amrit would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Do I remember correctly, you said the applicant's already spoken?
Mr. Cadet was the applicant.
You were just, oh, okay, I thought you meant the actual family. Okay.
No, they're not here.
All right, questions, comments from the committee? Anyone? Is anyone prepared to make a motion then?
I'll make a motion to forward with support.
Or recommend support to
Or
council? Okay, thank you. Casey,
I'll second it.
you're seconding it?
Yeah.
All right. Any further comments or questions? All in favor of the motion? Anyone opposed? I think so. Motion's carried. Thank you. All right, next item, please.
We'll
just
just wait till Alex Mitchell is back in the room.
Yes.
Okay. We're good. Great. Last item, item 6.4. This is an OCP amendment and a soil removal and deposit bylaw amendment for properties at 53, 169, 207, 267, 465, and 547 Columbia Street. And James is here to present the information, and the applicant is also here and may wish to speak.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, this is an application proposing two separate but related amendments. The one amendment is to the official community plan for the OCP. Second amendment is to the soil removal and deposit bylaw, also called the SRDB. Subject properties are located in the south of Abbotsford, just southeast of the airport. All of the subject properties front along Columbia Street. There are surrounding agricultural uses, and specifically to the south and west, there is an existing gravel extraction operation which is operated by the applicant, Lafarge Canada. Subject properties are all in the ALR. The OCP designates all the subject properties as agricultural 1 uplands. And the zoning of all 6 properties is A1. What you're looking at here is the OCP amendment, the proposed OCP amendment. And of course, this is the first amendment that the applicant is proposing, which is to amend the OCP to add 5 of the subject properties to the OCP's soil removal eligible areas map. That's map 15 of the OCP, which identifies areas where soil extraction is permitted. The second amendment that the applicant is proposing is an amendment to the soil removal and deposit bylaw to add all 6 of the subject properties to the soil removal and deposit bylaw's soil removal eligible areas map. So the applicant is proposing these amendments in order to expand their existing gravel extraction operation into the subject properties as previous stages of the operation end, and the associated lands are reclaimed for agricultural use. If you're wondering, the number of subject properties for each proposed amendment is different because the OCP's soil removal eligibility areas map already includes one of the 6 subject properties, and that's 207 Columbia Street. If I had a laser, do I have a laser?
Just at the very top.
The
button
on the top? There you go. So this is 207 Columbia. You can see that it's already shaded here as a property that's included in the soil removal eligible areas map. And if we go to the soil removal and deposit bylaws map, you'll see that it's not shaded brown. So it's one of the subject properties that is being proposed to be included. The material proposed to be removed is pit run sand and gravel. The estimated duration of the operation is 10 years, and the estimated volume of material to be removed is 2.1 million cubic meters. The applicant has also submitted an Agricultural Land Commission application for soil or fill use in support of the proposed gravel extraction expansion. And staff will move forward with that ALC application should council approve the OCP and SRDB amendments. And then the soil or fill use application from the ALC will need to be approved by the ALC prior to the city issuing an associated soil permit, which the applicant has also applied for with the city. So these are the subject properties highlighted in red. The properties that are in amongst those red outlined properties and to the west of those properties outlined in green depict the existing operation. Some of those properties have already been reclaimed. You can see this one in particular. This was a former gravel pit which has now been reclaimed. Oops. This is the existing topography of the area. And this is the proposed final grading of the area. And then this is the transportation route of the trucks coming and going from the site. This was a bit of concern from the residents. The concern was having traffic associated with the operation utilizing Columbia Street. However, what they're doing in this case with the expansion, or what they're proposing to do with the expansion, is to keep the existing network that they're using right now. So moving material from the mine to the processing facility in blue, and then bringing back fill material to the site depicted in the red lines. So what we're asking for from AAC is to please make a recommendation on one of the following. Support the OCP and SRDB amendments as presented. Support the OCP and SRDB amendments with changes. forward the OCP and SRDP amendments to council with no comment, or not support the OCP and SRDP amendments. Thank you.
Thank you. The applicant was here.
Mr. French, I believe.
Mr. French, would you like to speak?
I'm afraid you kind of caught me a little bit unawares because I'm an old timer and don't have everything in digital format for you. We had a little bit of a hiccup today. Unfortunately, Lance Dexter from Lafarge contracted COVID and he's very ill and unable to make it today. Unfortunately, that just came up last night, so I apologize for that. In his stead, Jeevan Wadara is here. Jeevan is a manager of this pit and a number of other pits in the Abbotsford area and other places in the Lower Mainland, and he'll be able to address any issues with regard to management and from Lafarge's side. And I'm the agrologist who prepared the soil report, and I've been monitoring the existing site for since 2008, and Lafarge has been operating, and again I apologize, I have some hard copy here which I can pass out. Hopefully that'll say I apologize.
Fortunately, the people
they can't see it. So, could we put up the map that we showed before of just of the properties? Is that possible to do, just so I can have something to refer to? Yeah, that's good. And is there the pointers there? Yeah, okay. That'll help a little bit. Thank you. So they've been operating the areas outlined in green since 2008, and that totals about 52 hectares. Some 38 hectares of that area has now been successfully reclaimed. I did some recent photography on Monday, and it shows something a little bit different than what we've got here. I'll just quickly run through it. There we go. This property and this property was formerly an old gravel pit for, it was Totem Ready Mix was the original owner, and it was a large hole in the ground, which you can see on this photo. It was out of the ALR, as were a number of properties when the ALR was set up. Either were existing pits or were operated by the cities. Lafarge reclaimed that site and has now included it in the ALR, and it's been in production since about 2012 or 13, and it's been in berries, operated by Jim Brach, who's the farmer. He farms these properties to the south, and he's had extremely good results growing the berries on that property because we've created a site with very uniform soil depth of 0.8 meters, and we have subsurface drainage and infiltration into the groundwater through an infiltration basin. And we've been doing this for a number of years and had very good success with it. Also, this property, lot 53, has been in forage production for about 5 or 6 years, and it's dryland farmed, and the farmer who is managing it was taking 3 to 4 cuts of dryland off of that site, which is pretty good considering we've had some pretty dry summers. This property immediately to the north is now fully reclaimed and the drainage has been installed, so it's updated. This property, lot 63, has now been reclaimed, and Jim Brach has now planted that to blueberries. These properties are, this property is close to being reclaimed, and the intent is to have it finished next year. And these two at the bottom, also owned by Jim Brach, will be reclaimed within two to 3 years. We're just, extraction is complete and we're now just carrying out the filling. So in effect, for the time that Lafarge has been operating this site, there really has not been a net loss of agricultural land in terms of area, because this area, of course, was formerly a gravel pit and has now been reclaimed and is in production. And we've been going, serially extracting and reclaiming as we go. Abbotsford has what's called a red light, green light policy, where you can't move onto other properties until reclamation has been commenced on the last property. So in effect, there's been no net loss of agricultural land, even during the extraction and reclamation that's been going on. And we intend to, Lafarge intends to continue with that operation in the future. As you can see, there's one little property down here, and then the small back piece of this one behind the poultry barns, this one from up to where the housing is, this one, and small area behind the barns on this property, and this one. The total area of the 6 parcels we're proposing before you today totals 21.3 hectares on Columbia Road. And access, as was mentioned, is going to be out through the current access going west onto Clearbrook Road and then north. The reclaimed areas have shown very good production and above average for the region. As I mentioned, we put a layer of granular sand material, 800 millimeters thick, or about almost 4 feet thick, and then the topsoil on top with subsurface drains. Aggregate extraction is limited to 2 meters above the high recorded water table, and no fill is placed in anywhere near the water table, again 2 meters above the water table. All fill that's brought into the site is certified by qualified environmental professionals, and I'll get Jeevan to just mention a little bit about that. And I've been monitoring the site on a monthly basis since inception in 2008, and will continue to do that. Hydrologist, again, is retained by Lafarge, and we have a whole number of monitoring wells all around this site, and those reports are submitted to Abbotsford on a quarterly basis. It'll be carried out in phases. Phase 1 will be the little parcel at the bottom. These 3 together, because it would be very hard to deal with these small parcels as individual units, and then the phase 3 will be the one up here. All topsoil will be moved to a common site. We found that to be the best way to deal with it. A common site here on lot 62, which is owned by Lafarge, and the topsoil is screened before replacement. So just in summary, the reclaimed area will have class 1 capability improved, and would be very suitable for a wide range of crops. So Jeevan, maybe you could just mention the process of dealing with the aggregate and also the importation of fill.
Yeah, so I'll just reintroduce myself. So my name is Jeevan. I grew up here in Abbotsford, been a resident my entire life. Proud to live here and work here. This property I've maintained a lot of ties with over my time at Lafarge. For 15 years I've been working for this company. Just to reiterate and kind of focus in on a couple key points that Brian mentioned that I think are worth working through again. We are improving the farmland that we're inheriting from Mother Nature by allowing for the infiltration layer and the topsoil. The average production on most raspberry farms is 3 tons per acre, and we're seeing 4 tons per acre of raspberry production and strawberry. So we're seeing that net benefit for the farmland as well, which is very important to us from an environmental perspective, while allowing us to have the ability to work in the construction environment, continue to support our growth here in BC and locally, and allow for good jobs for our neighborhoods. So We do work very closely with the industry and with qualified environmental professionals to ensure that all the material is taken care of, is registered and confirmed before it becomes deposited. And we have a lot of procedures, policies, and experience towards this program, and we feel strongly that we can benefit the environment, benefit the farmland, while continuing to grow the area around us. I'll be around for any questions after this as well. I'm happy to take any questions after Brian's done as well.
Okay.
Good, so I'm done.
Okay.
Certainly happy to hear, have any questions and try to answer those for you.
All right, thank you. All right, comments, questions from the committee?
I have a question, Chair.
Okay, please go ahead, sir.
It was mentioned that the project will be, the gravel removal and the reclamation will be done in phases. From a time frame perspective, for each phase, for how many years do you think from start to removal to reclamation, each phase would be out of production for agriculture? I know you're giving it like a 10-year for the whole thing, but maybe with the phases it'd be clear as to how many years would be out of production.
Well, it depends on the phase. Obviously, phase 1 is a small parcel right down at the border, which is 2 acres. That one would probably be in and out in a year. It'd be very fast. The 3 in the middle, a little bit longer, but because we're putting the 3 parcels together, it'll go a lot faster because we don't have to be worrying about borders and dealing with other properties, because we can do that as a single unit. We'll start in one corner and basically work up to the other end. That one probably 2 to 3 years for extraction, and again 2 to 3 years for bringing the fill in. Usually it's about the same amount of time to extract and bring the fill, and then there's just the reclamation. Usually takes another year and a half. So in total, probably 10 years.
So each phase is going to be separately, or they're going to be simultaneously that you're going to have the phases?
Separate, Sook. We'll be working through each property separately to maintain the farmland as much as we can. So we won't be opening up properties until reclamation's complete on prior ones. Our average of 3 years in the past, we're going to try to cut that down to 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
You were mentioning like the truck route would stay the same, so there'd be no impact on Columbia Street neighborhood, so you don't have to go through that process.
That's correct, Matt. Yeah, we're going to maintain the same route in and out that we do today, just to avoid any conflict or any impact on that unit there.
Yeah.
Also, just to corroborate to that, the intended actual traffic and the volume of extraction is probably going to be somewhat less than it is now, simply because Lafarge has other properties that they have available, and they're trying to spread out their use of the gravel over so that they're not concentrating in one area. So certainly, if anything, it will be no more than the current traffic, but could be somewhat less.
Do you have to consult with neighboring properties at all and gain approval from those, or you just have to kind of keep them happy?
Well, no. When we got the original approval, there was a lot of negotiation and benefits given to the neighbors on Clarebrook Road. For instance, the water line was put in, the traffic signals were installed, and there's also payments made to some of the property owners on Clarebrook Road to pay somewhat for the inconvenience of having the truck traffic. So, and we will be going to a public information meeting at some point.
So actually, as we move forward, going to council, there'll be public hearings. We actually already had public information meetings in I guess it was late fall of 2022, and the residents within 500 meters were notified specifically. There were notifications in the newspapers. We did have a lot of people attending. However, it seemed that most of the people that attended were friends and colleagues of Lafarge, and then interestingly enough, other people who were actually looking to get Lafarge to utilize their properties for gravel extraction. So we didn't see a lot of opposition there. The topic of transportation and leaving Columbia Street alone, that was a big one. But of course, the plan the whole time was to keep that original Clearbrook route to Vi. So the public information meeting went quite well. I didn't prepare anything for this meeting on that, but that information will be part of the council's report when it goes to council.
And you said there will also be a public hearing.
Yeah, so in addition to the public information meeting for both the soil removal deposit bylaw and the OCP bylaw that we typically do, as a typical bylaw amendment process, there will also be a public hearing. And again, since these properties are in the agricultural land reserve, our buffering to who we do the mail outs to is larger than in the urban areas, and that'll be at 500 meters. Again, with the two notifications in the newspaper. So there'll definitely be another chance for the public to provide input to council.
Anyone else? All right, do I have a motion?
I make a motion to support.
Okay, moved by Matt. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Casey, sorry. I wasn't sure. Casey, you were putting your hand just to second or speak?
Yeah.
Okay. Any more comments? All right, all in favor of the motion? No one opposed? Motion's carried. All right. Pulling my agenda back up here. All right, that's the last of our items, correct? New business. Any new business? Well, I have one item. The meeting that I just left that came from Chilliwack, just for your information, there is, I don't know if you're aware, but in the District of Kent, they've had a plastics recycling or an agricultural plastics recycling program going on for quite some time, but it's been restricted to Kent. But it's going to be expanded now, so we're pretty excited about that. It's going to be available for farms throughout the Fraser Valley. Not everybody yet, so not a lot of phone calls yet, but we're really excited that it will be expanded and available to other farms throughout the Fraser Valley. So look for that. If you want any more information on that, then please just send me an email and I can send you the information about it. Anyone else? No? All right, then we need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Brad, you wanna, that one? Seconded by Casey. All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Thanks everyone for attending. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Go to YouTube. Yes.
Is that map?